Good evening, everyone. We'll wait just a few moments. Our notice went out just in the last few minutes, so anyone who may have trashed their previous notices, they may have had to wait for one. So even though it's the same link, in case you're ever without the link, you can always refer to an old email. But anyway, just give it about 60 seconds. Meanwhile, rest your weary minds. Whatever that means to you. Jill, how about that? Good to see you. Hey, Joe. Anyway, we might as well begin at least saying hello to each other. Hi, Mary. Our fearless leader. And Catherine, again, thanks for co-hosting tonight under the name Mission Dharma, but that is Dear Catherine. And want to invite you to feel free to unmute and say good evening to each other. Feel free to say where you're calling in from and just to hear each other's voices. And I'd love to hear your voices.
Hi, Howard. Hi, everybody. I'm Juan Jose from Mexico City. I was in a retreat a couple of weeks ago with you, Howard. So here I am, my first time.
Wonderful. Welcome. So happy you're with us.
Thank you.
Con mucho gusto.
Sí.
Buenas noches, Howie.
Buenas noches, Patricia.
Hello from Edmonton, everybody.
Hello from Berkeley.
Hey, Margot.
Hello.
Happy to see you.
Thank you.
Hello from Kamloops, BC.
Is that Barbara?
It's me.
It was so good to be with you this last weekend.
Yes, it was fabulous.
I'm Katie from San Francisco.
Where's Katie? Let's see, where is Katie?
Liz from San Rafael.
There you are. Hey, Liz, good to have you back.
Paul, San Francisco.
Hey, Paul, always good to see you, hear you.
Maureen from Regina.
Maureen. Steady Maureen, thank you so much for your ongoing participation.
Leith from Edmonton.
Hey, Leith, good to see you.
Continuing with that, Keith from Berkeley.
Hey, Keith.
I'm from Edmonton as well. I'm Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Dan from San Rafael.
Hey, Dan.
I'm Christian from San Francisco.
Hi, Christian. Welcome.
Thanks.
Noemi.
No. Where is she?
Hi, from San Francisco.
Very happy to see you, Noemi.
Good to see you.
Okay, I see Mary is unmuted, but in the dark.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I live in an older building and I have no plugs across from this spot, which is the most comfortable.
No worries.
Sorry.
You still fill the space with your heart. No problem.
Oh, thank you, Howie. Good to see you. How are you feeling?
I'm much better this week.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
The flu is not easy,
Oh,
as I'm sure all of us know.
yeah.
John, San Antonio.
Glad
Hello,
you're well.
John. Welcome.
Angela,
Okay.
San Francisco.
Hello, Ajala. There's Mary from Regina. Hey, Mary. Welcome. Hope I can see you this weekend. Yay. Okay, well, I'm up in Canada in between two retreats. Last weekend was in Victoria, beautiful community there, and going on to my home away from home, Regina, for a retreat next weekend. And I'm just so happy that all of us everywhere are practicing, and tonight practicing together and offering to this world what it needs, which is a little bit of peace, a little sanity, a little goodness, a lot of commitment to harmlessness, to generosity of spirit, to awakening. And I don't think there's anything better that we can offer right now other than knocking on doors and making phone calls. There's nothing better that we can offer other than the awakening of our hearts for the good of everybody. Anyway, I'm so happy to be back with you, and mostly really want to just sit with you, mingle hearts and minds, and hopefully the effects of it radiate in all directions to all beings everywhere without exception, and let even our most difficult people bathe in our good intentions and our goodwill, even our politicians. Okay. So now that we've just mentioned our world situation just for a moment, we can just drop that world for the purpose of our practice and enter into the very immediate world, which is the non-historical world, the world that's not so much based on time, not based on before, not based on what's next, what's based on what's actually unfolding right now. And this is the way that we rejuvenate, heal, regulate our nervous system. And this is where we wake up, only here and now. So we let our eyes close softly and feel the seclusion, the gentle entering into the silence, the dark. We just let ourselves be enveloped in the dark, knowing that we're alone, but we're alone together. And we acknowledge first the simple fact, the ultimate fact that we are aware here. And there's ultimately no higher mountain to climb than this experience of being aware. But because our minds are often scattered, we fail to recognize the wish-fulfilling jewel that lives in us, as our wakefulness, as our awareness. So we acknowledge that awareness and we support remaining aware by anchoring our attention to something that's also here, which is our body. So with our eyes closed, we feel our body from the inside. And feel it so intimately, its aliveness, its vibration, its elemental experience of weight, of pressure, of temperature. We feel it so intimately that the idea of our body just melts away, and we just feel connected to this field of sensations. And the sensations are inseparable from the awareness through which they're being perceived. Awareness and sensations, just one thing. And knowing that if we're aware and feeling these, that we have stepped out of time, knowing that the past has passed, the future is a dream, and the present an idea. There's just this experience of awareness and body. And as our body settles and stills because it's bathing in this kind attention, we can much more easily feel and notice the experience of our body breathing. And we let each breath empty our mind of its usual distractions, preoccupations. We let each breath fill our mind with the living present. We use the body and its breath to just support us remaining here, undistracted as long as it lasts. Just this moment, just this breath. And noticing and maybe even enjoying the duration of the in-breath and the duration of the out-breath, wherever it feels most clear. Mostly letting the body breathe and just accompanying this involuntary experience, accompanying it with our kind attention. Breath by breath. And we start to notice the byproduct, which is the quieting, the calming. But we don't try to quiet or calm. We just connect with our body and being aware. And we stay here as long as it lasts, until mindfulness, because of its fragility, it goes into abeyance for a little bit, and at some point we will realize that we've been lost in thought, and once we realize that, that means mindfulness has come back. And so we come back to once it's back, we come back to our body, which will help keep us here. Just this breath, just this moment, just the sensations of sitting. While we are here, we'll let sounds call us here. We'll let moods call us here. We'll let thoughts and images call us here when we're mindful of them. We'll let everything call us here. Let everything be the reminder of our love of being aware, present, embodied. Just this. No matter how many times you realize you've been absorbed in a memory, plan, fantasy, each one of those moments is a moment of awareness, re-arising, coming back online. Once you're aware, relax. You've already arrived, and in support of remaining here, just find your body and breath. Feel the support of the Sangha. Feel the support that you're offering the Sangha. Immersed in the living present, so different from past and future, which are mental. You're here, awake and alive. Just this moment. If you notice you're trying to make something happen, delight in noticing that. You're recognizing a cause of tension. Noticing if you're resisting something, delight in noticing that. Resistance causes tension. Notice if you're personalizing what's happening. Be happy you're noticing that. It causes tension. Quite naturally coming to simplicity, receptivity, just being aware, supported by the body and breath. the last minutes of the sitting, don't do anything with your mind. Stop meditating. Just be aware. See what presents itself. Just be aware. Without doing anything with your mind. See what comes. Well, at least for me, it was a royal treat to sit together and see what the effect of our collective mind. You notice how really every time that we come together, there's a different configuration and different things occur to speak about, been through different things, you've been through different things, so it's always a mystery what will pop up. And so it was fun just seeing what showed up. I did miss 3 Tuesdays in a row, which was quite unusual. The last one being because I was down with the flu. But I'm very much looking forward to checking in to see what I've been missing. But I'd like us to spend a little time, if you're open to it, checking in, any questions, comments, descriptions, topics, how you're navigating the world as it is right now. I'm open to anything. So as always, we use the raised hand function wherever it happens to be. I don't even know where it is now.
It's still under React. It's under React.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, yeah, I do have React. That's right. Okay. Great. So if anybody has any comment, question, I am especially curious about what you noticed in the practice tonight, or any questions about practice, instructions, any of that. So we'll just hover a little bit and see what pops up.
I don't know how to do it.
Is that Jill? Jill, you didn't raise hand, but you're unmuted. Do you want to speak?
Thank you. I was trying to find the raised hand thing and I don't know where it is.
Oh.
I did actually.
Hey, Jill.
Hi. There were moments in the sitting when I felt so present and so, yeah, just so present, and it's peaceful, but it's also joyful.
Yes.
It's like, and so my question is, why is it so darn hard to not spend more time there?
Boy, the impossible, the imponderables, the unanswerables. Well, I actually don't think it's so difficult to spend time there. Here, it's not anywhere. It's very accessible. It's just a matter of remembering, and we tend to remember more when we're reminded. That's one of the useful things about having some instructions and having other company. Hanging out with Sangha, it calls us together. It calls us to the present moment. It helps us stay here long enough to be able to experience the natural goodness of being present and the joy of it. And someone else today I was speaking to just said how they just felt that presentness had a benevolence to it. And it's the intrinsic nature of mind is love. I've been repeating lately the words of Garchen Rinpoche. I don't know if you heard me talk about when I was leading a retreat in Arizona and at the Garchen Institute, where this wonderful, very, very old Lama, who's the namesake of this beautiful center that I've been leading retreats at for a long time. I got to meet him for the first time, and he gave me, all kinds of gifts, but he gave me this one little bookmark thing that said, "May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness, and the cause of happiness is love." And it really is being in touch. Love and attention, they are really not two different things. And so if you're in that neighborhood of being present like you described, you will feel either love or joy or the benevolence of it. It's just a matter of getting used to it. And it's easier than we think. It's much easier and much more accessible because it's you. It's not a place. It's not another. So thank you for bringing it into the group. Okay, I'm not used to this setup here. Anyone else? Seema, please feel free. You have to unmute.
I have trouble with the unmute button.
No problem.
I'm so glad to be here. I've been very stressed out for most of this past year with a head injury and everything kind of running amok in my brain. And I'm a member of the SF Insight Sangha.
Excellent.
And tonight I just needed to sit. And this is the first time in maybe 5. I came to your Sangha once before, but it was years ago. So I came tonight and I felt so peaceful. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to relate to anybody. I just felt peaceful, and that's pretty unusual for me, but I liked it. I mean, not in the sense of I have to have this every single moment, but I just felt, So I'm
glad to have your
Thank you.
And glad that you stopped in again.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, may your ease continue, may it increase, may it not wane. Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful that in spite of all your injuries, you have pieces available, and
yes,
it really is your home base, so you can refer to it. Anyway, glad you're here. Anyone else, please feel free. Mary.
Hi. I think mine is under more, and then I go to hand, but I guess, I don't know. Anyway, this feels really good. Thank you. It's a stressful time in the world, and just good to let it all go and relax. But I thought I was feeling very tired tonight, but after sitting and meditating and getting kind of more in touch with myself, I think I might be coming down with something actually. But it was good. I mean, I was not aware of it. I feel like I kind of got more in touch with with my what's going on.
Yeah, well, I hope you're okay. But you do remind me
and go to bed early.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some tea and go to
Great
bed
idea.
early.
Great
but
idea.
This was a good, just kind of to let it all go. I feel like it's a very stressful time in the world, and I think
this is the opportunity that we have it a lot, but we don't often exercise it. The opportunity to step out of the stream of distress into the simple reality, because when the world is stressful, our mind gets fixated on our situation rather than on what's actually happening moment by moment, which is as we've talked about so many times, it's really, life's pretty simple in real time. It's getting a cold, or it's peaceful, or it's seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. It's so utterly simple, and if we can at least balance the intensity of our situation with the simplicity of moment to moment experience, it actually allows our nervous system to settle a little bit, and we get the fragrance of that, which is joy and peace, and also insight. And one of the insights is sometimes, or truth, that you may have something brewing, or at least you need to care for your health. So I'm glad you're catching it.
Yes, gonna catch it early now. But I was at some point, I think, trying to get in touch with my breath. And then you just were like saying, just let it all go, don't do anything. And that was just really wonderful. Like to just whatever, just naturally there.
Sometimes the effort gets a little bit tense because it gets involved in ourself. And then even something so useful as directing the attention, putting our mind and body together, can cause a little bit of tension. So just to balance our energy and effort, sometimes it's important to see that awareness is still there whether you do something or not. And to just don't do. Actually, I have a quote, if I can dig it up here, that you can actually, if you haven't heard this before, or if you have the book, Teachings of the Buddha, it's just a compilation edited by Jack many years ago of different teachings from different Buddhist traditions. But this was the particular teaching from the nun named Naguma, where she said, don't do anything whatsoever with the mind. Abide in an authentic, natural state. One's own mind, unwavering, is reality. The key is to meditate like this without wavering. Experience the great reality beyond extremes. In a pellucid ocean, bubbles rise and dissolve again. Just so, thoughts are no different from ultimate reality. So don't find fault, remain at ease. Whatever arises, whatever occurs, don't grasp. Release it on the spot. Appearances, sounds, objects of one's own mind. There's nothing except mind. Mind is beyond the extremes of birth and death. Nature of mind awareness, although using the object of the five senses, does not wander from reality. In the state of cosmic equilibrium, there's nothing to abandon or practice. No meditation or post-meditation, just this. So only those who meditate and practice tend to be able to relax like this. That's why I save it toward the end of the sitting, when you've actually gathered and sustained a little bit. And then sometimes just what we need is to let it all go.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Howie.
Thank you. I hope you don't come down with anything.
Me too.
As the host, I can't raise my hand for some reason, so I'm just gonna unmute.
Great. Have at it.
What I noticed was at the beginning of the meditation, my mind was very fragmented, like jumping around a lot. And then I felt like I kind of went in and out of concentration, but my mind just became quiet at the, in the course of the period. It wasn't quiet, like I had very driving music going on, the music that I've been listening to, but it wasn't a problem. Like I wasn't focusing on it. It was just kind of part of my mind.
So the music you'd been listening to was repeating in your mind?
But it wasn't repeating in a earwormy.
Right, I get it. Yeah, it was just little fragments of it were popping up.
It was more continuous.
I
don't know. It was more in the background, I think. I sort of felt like I slipped between thinking I'm not really meditating, I'm just listening to this music, and then realizing that when you said let go, don't do anything, it's like, oh, I guess I am meditating. Oh no.
Well, whatever it was, it's what it was. Nothing to. But it sounds like you're a little quieter than when you started, a little more whole, a little more settled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful. We'll make space for one more person. Luke, please feel free.
Hi, thanks a lot, Howie, and everyone for the sit. And this is kind of a serious, not serious question, but the World Series came to mind while I was sitting here, and I keep thinking about it. And I wish I was feeling more generous towards my friends and family that are fans, and I'm pretty competitive, and I get a lot of joy from baseball, but I wish I was a little more generous towards some of the fans of one of the teams that shall remain nameless, and not just be able to experience the joy of and just the experience of having two teams that I hate in the World Series. And that's I just thought I'd ask you because I know you're a bit of a baseball fan, how you're approaching if you are watching. But maybe you're maybe you're a Yankees fan. I don't know. That's it. You don't have
I'm
to
a
spend much
Giants
time on
fan.
it, but I just want to hear your thoughts.
I'm a Giants fan, so now here's the thing. Anything, and maybe I'll make this into the topic tonight because it's been on my mind. Anything where there is identity, anything that we have an identification with, whether it's one team or another, or the opposition to one team or another, it's usually any kind of position that we take is you would call it an attachment. So identity, attachment, and with that comes a certain kind of clinging. Some tension goes with that. And more important than anything, what comes with it, what comes in its wake is a very insecure kind of well-being that's very dependent on how things turn out or who wins and who loses. So it's a setup. In spite of all the pleasure that comes with it, it still sets us up for being pretty regularly in a state of suspended happiness. Like, I'll be happy if it works out this way. And then we have to admit that if it doesn't turn out that way, we're left feeling somewhat, at least for a time, somewhat miserable. So it's a setup for being blown by the winds of circumstance whenever there's identity around anything. And that includes identity with our body when it's healthy, happy, unhealthy, not happy. Same with the team. Same with the politics. So the Dharma is basically saying, be honest about that. Even though there's you say a lot of pleasure, and I get a lot of pleasure out of sports, that it's subsumed under the umbrella, at least in the teachings of suffering, of dukkha, of unreliable, unsatisfactory, cannot give you lasting satisfaction. It cannot make, it is incapable of giving you the happiness that you want. It's only capable of giving you pleasure, but often leaves in its wake, the temporariness of it, and then wanting more, and then more dependency. So that's just what comes with sports. And so some people will, you can use it as a great way of understanding the Dharma and liberating your mind from dependency. Just, okay, however it turns out and whoever's there, it's just conditions, and they're changing all the time. Good luck. Okay, well, thank you for participating, and let's, for a moment, just let the dust settle. Again, after your last sound of conversation has ceased, or the last thought has ceased, and before the next one comes, just notice the state of your mind when you're not looking ahead and not looking back. When you're just here, just aware. Just feel the fragrance, the feeling of being, just simply present. Just notice when not only is the past in quiescence right now and the future in quiescence and how things turn out, something else is suspended is also identity. We're just here, just aware, not somebody, just aware, filled with whatever's present. So this kind of, at least what seems to me, is this natural peace that hides in plain view, that waits, but while we're busy getting caught up in sports or the politics or the situation, and we innocently lose touch with natural peace because our teams and our politicians and what seems so consequential, it's so compelling that that we haven't not found a way to balance so easily our care for the world and what needs to be done, etc. Balance that with also care for our hearts that are often in a state of suspended happiness, in a state of tension when we're worried or want so much for things to turn out a certain way. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes us getting really dysregulated, a lot of dis-ease before we're called back to slow down, to simplicity. But that's why we come together, so that we can remember that our real-time experience can never be captured in the story of our situation. The real-time experience is so full, so benevolent, so whole, so different from past and future, which are just filled with uncertainties. Yeah, I had this prayer today. I said internally, I was saying my prayer is that because functioning in this role, my prayer is that everybody will wake up out of the tangle of the calamity, the preoccupation with ourselves and what we want and what we believe and what we don't like and what we identify with, to wake up out of that and to see that it's, in a way, it's a dream. Some of you who were on the Edmund, or on the Victoria retreat this weekend, I shared a story of walking through the airport in San Francisco, and I was 8 days into this flu thing, but I was well enough to make the trip, and started very fragile and got stronger as the weekend went on. But in the airport, I was feeling pretty funky. But what was also really obvious to me in the airport, and I don't always notice it, and it doesn't always get to me, but as I'm walking through the airport, just walking through the airport, I notice that everybody's young. And in that moment, I said, where are all the people my age? And all of a sudden, I felt really old. And then what followed very quickly from feeling old is I started to feel depressed. And then literally a split second after that feeling of being depressed, that little shift that is literally the shift between bondage and freedom. A little shift came, mindfulness rose up to notice, oh, I is depressed. That it was just a thought of I, a view of self that had arisen out of nothing, out of contact with seeing people in the airport. And with that came a not liking, and then followed by aversion, followed by a feeling of, body identification, followed by feeling depressed. And as soon as it was able to be seen as, oh, I is depressed, the I that has been formed with that thought, the whole thing just evaporated instantaneously. And a chuckle came over my, I started to laugh because when we actually see the functioning of identity, there's nothing there except thoughts. So I have the prayer that that all of us who from time to time fall into identification with the body, identification with a view of myself, identification with either being better than or equal to or less than, that covers the sports, or too much, not enough, too little, the comparing mind wherever it shows up. This is where self is created and self vanishes. If we can just see the comparing mind comparing. I actually brought along one of my favorite pieces ever about the comparing mind, which is really just the comparing mind is the creation of an imaginary self who the moment before was just, each of us was just a field of present awareness, taking in sight, sound, smells, taste, and all of a sudden within a moment, there's a feeling of being either less than, better than, equal to, and something's not quite right because we've mistaken a comparing thought for who we are. And it's really, there's no there. It's an imaginary version of you. So this is a nice piece, often read, but can't read it too much. I might have to skip around because it takes a few moments. This is from Ed Brown, the author of the Zen teacher, meditation teacher, also author of the Tassajara bread book and many of the cookbooks, an amazing guy, chef. Says, when I first started cooking at Tassajara, I had a problem. I couldn't get my biscuits to come out the way they were supposed to. I'd follow the recipe and try variations, but nothing worked. These biscuits just didn't measure up. Growing up, I had made two kinds of biscuits. One was from Bisquick, the other from Pillsbury. For the Bisquick biscuits, you added milk to the mix, then blobbed the dough on spoonfuls onto the pan. You didn't even need to roll them out. The biscuits from Pillsbury came in a kind of cardboard can. You wrapped the can on the corner of the counter and it popped open. Then you twisted the can open more, put the pre-made biscuits on the pan and baked them. I really like those Pillsbury biscuits. Isn't that what a biscuit should taste like? Mine just weren't coming out right. It's wonderful and amazing the ideas we get about what biscuits should taste like, what a life should look like, compared to what? Canned biscuits from Pillsbury? Leave it to Beaver? People who ate my biscuits could extol their virtues, eating them one after another. But to me, these perfectly good biscuits just weren't right. Finally, one day came a shifting into place, an awakening. Not right compared to what? Oh my word, I'd been trying to make canned Pillsbury biscuits. Then came an exquisite moment of actually tasting my biscuits without comparing them to some previously hidden standard. They were wheaty, flaky, buttery, sunny, earthy, real, as Rilke's sonnet proclaims. They were incomparably alive, present, vibrant, in fact, much more satisfying than any memory. These occasions can be so stunning, so liberating, these moments that you realize that your life is just fine as it is, thank you. Only the insidious comparison to a beautifully prepared, beautifully packaged product made it seem insufficient. Trying to produce a biscuit, a life with no dirty bowls, no messy feelings, no depression, no anger was so frustrating. Then savoring, actually tasting the present moment of experience. How much more complex, multifaceted, how unfathomable. A thought, a feeling, ants crawling on the ground in the sunlight. Anyway, it goes on, but I think you get the point. To be able to see the difference between just tasting our experience and then the story that our mind tells us. And as Katie Byron or Byron Katie puts it, there's no story, I'm depressed, I'm this, there's no story that is you or that leads to you. Every story leads away from you. You are what exists before all stories. You are what remains when the story is understood. So sometime, as Derek Walcott says, the time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who is yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. So take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. What does he mean? Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. This is the story of ourselves, which is a wonderful story, but it often obscures the story of depressed, the story of me sick. It's the I has been created to be depressed or related to the body in that moment. There's no substance to it. Where is it now? Where is the I right now? I had somebody writing me lately who just said, I'm a terrible person. I'm a this or I'm a that. I am a terrible person. We say things like that to ourselves. I'm not enough. I'm insufficient. I'm depressed. We can all relate to that. But what are we really pointing to when we say that? We're really just saying that the I is depressed. The I has created a version of itself that is measuring in some way and is coming out on the short side. But if you really look at what I am depressed means, or I am a terrible person, it's made up of 4 or 5 words. What's it referring to? There's no I to be found in the body. There's no I to be found in the thoughts except the ones that pop up and go down every now and then. What is being referred to is I am a bad person, or I am not enough. What is that pointing to? The teachings ask us to see that for what it is, that it has no substance. You take the thought, I am not enough. I am this or I am that. You take it, I am not enough. And you take away the enough. You take away the not. You take away the am. And then you take away the I. And what's there? quiet. But we have to be able to make that fractional instant shift from being caught up in that I thought to noticing, oh, the I is depressed. The I it thinks they're a bad person. It's a mind-made mental creation. It has no substance to it. But unfortunately, when that thought is identified with, believed, it has a physiological impact. It has a contracted impact. And that's a sign that we have become separated from the inherent joy, as Jill spoke about, the benevolence that somebody spoke about earlier, the intuition that Mary spoke about, how the intuition or the truth, the insight into her health. That's what is here is these incredible qualities that become obscured when we mistakenly identify ourselves with these thoughts. What hides in plain view is this clarity, is this goodness, this intuition, this intelligence, this unleashing of compassion and caring, giving ourselves over, instead of being so preoccupied, giving ourselves over to seeing what can help. All of that gets occluded, these beautiful qualities that live in every being as ourselves. Not the idea of ourselves, but our true nature, which is love, as Garchen Rinpoche says. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness, and the cause of happiness is love. And how far do you have to travel to find love? It's not in a person. It's our hearts. So may we all awaken to the freedom of being unbound by this case of mistaken identity with our thoughts. I was lucky that particular time in the airport that the I was depressed, and the noticing of that lifted the whole thing, and it became a chuckle. But sometimes one can wander a long time in a view of self. And so whenever, at whatever point we wake up to our state of mind, wake up to what our mind is doing, it's so important that we treat it with kindness, mercy, and forgiveness. Forgiveness should be part of every day for everybody, because we're all conditioned. So let's see if there's something I want to end with. Maybe from Thich Nhat Hanh. I laugh when I think how I once sought paradise as a realm outside of the world of birth. It is right in the world of birth and death that the miraculous truth is revealed. But this is not the laughter of someone who suddenly acquired a great fortune. Neither is it the laughter of one who has won a victory. It is rather the laughter of one who, after having painfully searched for something for a long time, finds it one morning in the pocket of his coat. So let's just sit quietly for a moment. It's finding the riches that lie in the pocket of our coat. May all beings have peace. All beings have harmony. May all beings have peace and harmony. Thank you. Catherine, I'll hand it off to you if there are any announcements. Please stay with us for a few moments.
Yes, just brief announcements. Upcoming retreats, there are a couple person, one in Texas, one in Canada. You can find more information about those on the website. But there is an online retreat opening to love and wisdom, December 14th through the 18th. And I put the link in the chat.
Great. Fabulous.
Yeah. And just wanted to encourage you to consider offering Donna generosity if you are able. And the information about how to do that is also in the chat. And thank you so much for supporting the Sangha and our teachers.
Thank you. So please feel free to unmute and say goodnight to each other. And it's really nice to be with you tonight. Nice to be back.
Glad to have you back, Howie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Howie. Good night, everyone.
Not everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Good night.
Good night,
Buenas
Patricia.
noches. Thank you.
Happy belated birthday, Howie.
Thank you.
Oh, happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you. Jill, great to have you with us tonight.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you for co-hosting.
Oh, you're so welcome. My pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Sweet dreams, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.